Hey everybody, welcome to the Elder Geeks podcast, the podcast where good games never get old, but we sure do. My name is Randy, and tonight with me is Elder Geek Phil.
Hi, I'm here.
It's just the two of us tonight, which is cool. We have lots to go down, and I'm dying to hear about the updates with your Famicom restoration, if there is any updates to give.
Yeah, there's updates. Ooh, yeah, cliffhanger right there.
Nice.
I gave you the cliffhanger last time. So
yeah. I don't want to rush through the show to get to that part, but I kind of want to rush through the show to get to that part.
I'm gonna leave you hanging. I'm gonna leave you and the audience hanging.
So the way the show works is we go through three segments. The first segment is where we talk about games that we are playing with our family or games that our family members are playing by themselves. Second segment is the games that we are playing by ourselves, and then the third segment is an off-topic segment. Phil, I put you in the hot seat first last week, so I'll sacrifice myself for doing the games that we're playing with our family.
Yeah.
And this week, my wife and my son and I are all playing 2 Point Hospital. At times we're playing it together. At times we're playing it solo. But it's a big hit in the house.
All right. So I saw you were mentioning this in our chat. What is it? I don't know anything about it.
It is a hospital simulator, so it's sort of like a business simulator.
Okay.
Or a business tycoon, I guess is probably the best way to put it. So it's a business tycoon where you start up a hospital and you have to manage the money coming in and the patients and such. And it's all very silly. So your patients will come in with a case of lightheadedness and they have a literal light bulb on their head. Or there will be a pandemic, and the people will come in with a pan stuck on their head. You can kind of guess the theme kind of going on here.
That's pretty funny.
It is. And
this is PC?
Yeah, it's very PG. It's super PG.
No, PC. It's
just
PC,
yes. I thought you said PG.
Yeah,
but yes,
okay.
it's PC. It's $30. It just released on August 30th of this year. And it's developed by a studio called 2 Point Studios, but the guys behind it are apparently the people who also were involved with Theme Hospital.
Okay.
Which is kind of exciting, because it's their spiritual successor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this the first PC game that your son has played?
It is. And
so how are you doing that? How are you playing on? Is he like in your computer room? What are you doing? Like, what's the setup?
He's in my office. I got two chairs next to each other. This is actually how we play PC games in here regularly, because we'll play like Marvel, Legos and such in here.
Oh, okay.
So I'll sit him in the regular chair. I just sit in like not a nice chair, but a sort of comfortable chair on the side.
he gets an acceptable chair.
He gets the good one, right?
He's a kid. He doesn't give a crap.
And what's kind of nice is I was expecting him to just get frustrated with it right away, but it's kind of teaching him the basic stuff that I've been slacking on teaching him in the first place, like. Honestly, like how to scroll with a mouse, the difference between right clicking and left clicking, left drag clicking, and he's literally about to go into first grade, and so reading comprehension is a big thing, and it's kind of nice. He has to read within the game, but he doesn't have to read a ton.
So is he reading it himself, or are you reading it to him?
I'm reading some of the bigger segments, but I'll tell him, hey, you need a pharmacy. And then he'll like go to the rooms tab and he'll figure out, okay, which one is the pharmacy. So beyond like me telling him what he might need to do, or he'll sometimes ask me what he needs to do, he does it all by himself,
Yeah.
He's doing a great job. And my wife loves it.
That's cool too. But see now, but that's not a surprise. But that's not a surprise. Like, I'm more surprised that there's like a child taking to like a game like that, because that seems like it's like a larger barrier of entry for a child.
I would have thought so too, but because it's not particularly hard, the first couple of levels are very hand-holdy, not to the point of embarrassment, but they really take it easy on you. They like throw a bunch of money at you. So in order for you to fail, you'd have to try hard to fail. Okay. And he likes it because he gets to like put the desks where they need to go. He gets to hang up the paintings where he wants them to go. So it's really in those early phases more of a design program than anything else.
Okay. Is the building already laid out and you're just kind of editing things in the building, or do you kind of get to set up your building?
The building is laid out. You set up the way things flow within the building.
Okay.
So you put in your hallways. You decide how big your rooms are, which rooms you want. You decide how many doctors and nurses and janitors that you want to hire, and receptionists / assistants that go into the place. it can get surprisingly deep. I haven't personally gotten too far in the game because literally any time that I've had to play, one of the two of them have come and kicked me off the machine to play themselves.
So your wife's playing her own file.
She is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are really, really loving it, and it's really well polished. I haven't run into any game-breaking glitches yet. It looks great. Style-wise, it looks great. And for $30, I think we've already gotten our entertainment value out of it. I couldn't take the two of them to the movies for less than $30. You know?
That's true. Yeah, that's true. And sounds like you paid full price for it.
I think when I bought it on day one.
Yeah.
And I think I got like 10% off, so it's not like I saved a lot of money. I probably saved like $3.
Yeah, but you were there day one. I'm only bringing it back to that because our first episode.
Yeah.
I think you and Steve were just kind of like, I haven't really bought like a full price game in a while or a day one game in a while.
This is true, and I budged because I kind of wanted something to play with my wife in the evenings. Mm-hmm. And in the past, she and I have played Sims games together. We had played Sims 3 and Sims 4 together.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Why this game with?
Okay. This is what came up to it. We normally watch shows and stuff together in the evenings after the kids go to bed, and we're kind of out of shows at the moment. Luckily, I think Sunny starts anew tonight.
Yeah.
And
I heard that.
One of the things that pushed me over to the edge of getting this game was the description for the janitor's work came up as Charlie work.
And that's
that was like, that's it, I'm getting this game.
Yeah. Good old Charlie.
Yeah, it's got great writing in it. A lot of the jokes, they're not like real knee slappers, but you'll chuckle reading the descriptions in the games,
Yeah.
So I do recommend it. I mean, again, $30 is a little steep. It's not a huge game, but I don't know, I've paid more for games that I like less, like Mario Tennis Aces.
Oh
my gosh! Yeah,
you fired a shot.
I don't want to go too far off on a tangent. Mario Tennis Aces is a fun game, and it's a good game to play together. Mm-hmm. But boy, I wish that game just had more of just about everything for how much I paid for it.
Okay,
the
full 60 for that one.
Yeah, well, it's a Nintendo game. There's no way you could get it for less than the full 60.
Yeah, or if you do, you're going to be waiting like a year and a half, 2 years.
Right, and even then, you run the very real risk of Nintendo not printing enough copies of the game, and then they're like,
Well, that's true. That is something they've been kind of doing lately, right? With like ever since digital kind of took off, they I feel like they do these like lower print runs, and the games kind of vanish.
Right.
Yeah.
But bringing it back, 2 Point Hospital, I honestly I recommend it as if you're wanting to have a game to sit down with your kids on a PC and teach them basic stuff. It's really not bad. The buttons are huge, so when I'm showing them how to just like close windows in it, I'm like big red X in the top right, and I'm like, wow, he doesn't know this, but he's learning basic Windows operations here.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
very cool. Yeah. I like that everybody's playing it. Everybody's on a different path in that game, so that's cool.
Yeah,
you guys are all. I guess you're all talking about it as well, sharing secrets.
Yeah.
Or no? Right.
Yeah. And what's funny is I work from home, and when I'm working, if my son is home, he's been popping his head in and being like, "Can I play hospital game now?" And I'm like, "No, I'm working. Go away."
You can slap some headphones on him.
Right.
Well, I guess he would use your computer, right? He would need your computer.
He would, yeah, and then I wouldn't be able to. Okay. I wouldn't be able to do anything. I'd be out of work. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking that there was like another one next to you or something. Right.
Oh, I wish. Well, to kind of distract him from that, he's been really honestly afraid to start The Legend of Zelda. Today I kind of coaxed him into starting Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and I think the seed has been planted. I think he likes it. So I'll give an update on that in a couple of, in a week or so. Yeah.
I'll save any kind of Breath of the Wild comments I have for if you circle back around to that in a couple weeks.
I will say this: what I didn't like was I had to delete my save file in order for him to play.
Oh, you had to make a new profile.
Even with the guest profile, it said delete. Well, maybe. Oh, I wonder if I started a guest profile for somebody else that came over the house or something. Oh well, my save file's gone.
I mean, that was a big save file.
Gone.
I have like I have like 5 Breath of the Wild save files on my Switch.
Are you serious?
You just load them up on different profiles.
You know, honestly, I loaded up my guest profile that I have on the machine, and it was like delete save file, and I was like, oh no. Well, I guess this is it. Farewell, old friend.
It's the guest one, so you just got rid of the guest one. So yours is still there.
No. He doesn't like to play on the guest one. He likes to play on the master file, and so I was like,
give him one with his name.
I should do that.
Oh, bummer. When we got Breath of the Wild, I was playing it. I got not too far, like let's say 5 hours in, maybe not even. And then my daughter kind of like took over that file, so I had to make my own new profile to start my own file that she wouldn't touch. So if like when you're friends with me on Switch and you see my Breath of the Wild hours, those are my daughter's hours. They're not my hours.
Oh, really?
It's like over 200 hours or something crazy like that, yeah.
Wow, how old is she again?
She just turned 8.
That's awesome. And she's liking it that much?
Oh, she played that for almost a year straight.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
God, I was close to almost playing it for a year straight.
Yeah, you were doing like all of the like you told me that you had gotten literally all of the dungeons completed.
All the shrines, yeah.
That's incredible.
All the shrines.
That's incredible.
I loved it. But yeah, we'll circle back to Breath of the Wild.
Right.
I could talk about that game just for hours.
Yeah, I think we both could. I feel like I'm bubbling over, ready to talk about Breath of the Wild, especially since I'm seeing him restart it. I'm like, ooh, this is so good.
I've been thinking of doing a is it master mode, the hard mode that came with the DLC. I've been thinking about doing a run on that.
Ooh, I didn't get the DLC.
Ooh, the DLC's pretty. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it, but.
Well, I know we touched on this a little bit, but what are you playing with your kids right now, or what are your kids playing?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit.
That's fine
because we haven't really done anything past. We're still doing Okami, of course, still Minecraft. So those are the kind of the focuses right now, and maybe I'll come back to Okami on this show like when we finish it to kind of like give some more like final thoughts or whatever.
Sure.
But we just had Labor Day weekend, and that's a good time to play games with family. So. We played some Switch over at my parents' house. My nephew had brought his. They were playing Snipper Clips. But I really want to dive into Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus, which was released, like 2 years ago, I think, on PS4 and Xbox.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, but the Switch version, the thing that makes the Switch one a little fancier is that Plus. But that Plus is a 2-player co-op mode, which I think is super fun, and I don't really see anybody talking about it, so that's why I thought maybe it would be a cool time to like bring it up, shine a little light on that mode.
Yeah.
So the way it works is, well, where do I start? All right. The way it works is, so it's a co-op Pac-Man. So you have a yellow Pac-Man, you have a blue Pac-Man, and you both clear the maze. You kind of, since the maze is so large, like you kind of clear your own sides, and then whoever like kind of finishes their side first might come around and help the other guy. When you clear a maze, because you clear tons of mazes, when you clear a maze, a fruit appears, and I think it appears in the mouth of the person that got the last piece, the last pellet.
Yeah, whoever bit the last one. Got it.
What you need to do is join up, and you got to eat the fruit together to unlock the next maze, and then you zip right into the next maze. Oh, and you also have like 5 minutes to do, basically just get your highest score in 5 minutes.
Whoa.
Then you move right on to the next maze, and then the other aspect of it with 2-player is when you catch ghosts, when you get like a power pellet, you can't just eat the ghost by yourself. You have to team up to eat the ghost, so you have to surround the ghost, and you each eat the ghost at the same time.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So then what you really want to do to get like 4 points, like to get, because the way Pac-Man works is all the Pac-Man games, if you eat a ghost and then you eat the next one, you get more points. And if you eat all 4 within that one pellet, you max your points. So this works the same way, but you got to eat all 4 ghosts together at the same time. So the maze kind of has like this, when you hit your power pellet, it gets like this little line across the maze. And if you can still bite the ghosts by yourself, but that just bumps them around. So what you can do is you can bump them onto this line, and then you get them all kind of like on this, skewered kind of on this line, and they're just moving back and forth on there. And then you can surround them, and that's how you eat like the 4 ghosts to maximize your points there.
That is crazy.
It's wild. And then after you do that, Meanwhile, while you're doing all this and clearing all these mazes, there's these sleeping ghosts, and you've secretly been like waking up all these sleeping ghosts on the course. And they make like one really long ghost. So after you eat the 4 little ghosts, the regular sized ghosts, then this big snake made up of all the ghosts that you wake up. This big snake comes running around the map. It's like this giant snake ghost, and you gotta bite his head.
That's amazing.
So it's insane. So the first player has to bite the head of the ghost to stop the ghost. If you bite anywhere else in the ghost, he bumps away, and you gotta catch him again. So the first player has to bite the head of the ghost, and then the second player has to come around and eat the tail of the ghost, and then you eat all the ghosts. So it's just this, and it's so fast. Like the way this is all happening, it's super fast, super quick. Oh, if you or your friend gets caught by the ghost, you can go run over and save them, and you can bump the ghost out of the way to save your friend to get them back in the game, so you don't lose a life or anything like that. And it's just this crazy, like bonkers game of Pac-Man. I really can't recommend that game enough.
That's awesome. How much is it full price? Or I guess what is it on Switch?
I believe here's the Switch tax. So I paid like $20 for this game. It's always on sale, like on PS4 and everything, for like $250.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I'm sure eventually on Switch it'll hit that point with sales. But they are. I should have looked this up beforehand. They're gonna package it with Namco Museum, which was also on Switch. They're gonna package that together as a physical game.
That's fine. You know, honestly, when you talk about stuff like that, and Switch is awesome for good 2-player games, especially since it comes with, 2 controllers, but I personally would probably go out of my way to buy, like, if they sold Pac-Man Yellow, specifically that 78 or 79 yellow cab, if they made Pac-Man Yellow controllers that came with that game, I'd buy it for sure.
That'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it comes out September 28th, really soon, actually.
Wow.
And it's called Namco Museum Arcade Pack. Little play on words there with the arcade pack, because it's PAC, like Pac-Man.
Right.
So you get Pac-Man Championship 2, and then you get Namco Museum, which I'm really giving you guys the sales pitch, which has Pac-Man, Galaga, Splatterhouse, and Tower of Jiraga. And I think Rolling Thunder 2. It just says play games such as Rolling Thunder.
Splatterhouse was Namco?
Yeah.
Why did I always think that was Neo Geo?
I don't know. Maybe the N got you. Namco, Neo, I don't know. So Rolling Thunder 2, Sky Kid, and Tank Force. And then I think that also has a version of... Do you remember Pac-Man Championship for... was it not called Championship? What was the GameCube one called?
Oh, I don't know. But I remember which one you're talking about.
Yeah, you connected all the Game Boys to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a version of that for Switch where you can link up like 2 Switches basically to play a version of that. So the second player can go on the shop and they can download like a freebie that just kind of allows them to play that Pac-Man game on the Switch.
That is pretty sweet.
So you can buzz in and have that second screen. So that, I mean, God, I almost wish I kind of didn't have Pac-Man Championship Edition 2, because that's a pretty sweet package, and it has great cover art.
I was going to say, why do you... Oh, because you want the package, yeah.
Because I want to buy it. Yeah, it's got great cover art, too. But maybe that one will drop one day, and I would definitely pick that package up for like $20.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Collection boxes like that often do go on sale pretty quickly, Mm-hmm. But again, who knows? The Switch hasn't been around enough to see, like, if these games are going to drop fast enough.
There hasn't been too many price drops, like on physical games. I don't see it too much. And I certainly haven't bought anything that was for sale. Like, let me see Doom. Like, Doom for Switch is getting close to a year old. Let's see how much that costs.
Yeah, Skyrim 2, right? Like, Skyrim's probably been out for a while on there. And they're both Bethesda games, and they drop their prices pretty generously.
It's $50 on Switch right now, so only $10. Only $10. Skyrim Switch. It's that Switch tax, man.
Yeah.
$50 Skyrim Switch. Still.
Wow.
Like, I feel like PS4 that would have been $20.
Right. Right. Yeah. Probably would have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's.
I was gonna say on PC, either of those things, you'd be like, I got it for $5 on the Steam sale,
Yeah. So that's Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. So we played that a while. It's really great. That 2-player mode only has 5 mazes, so you can kind of blow through them a little quick. But the idea is to just kind of play them over and over and really like maximize that high score. And then, I mean, as far as the single-player content, there's just tons. That's just a whole other area of the game. So really, you're getting. I mean, if anybody already played it on Xbox or PS4. I mean, you already know what to expect from the single player, but it's just lots of mazes. There's a little single player campaign with like challenges, which is actually long and it's pretty difficult. Because I never even finished it, and I put some serious time into that game.
Nice, that's awesome.
I highly recommend that game. And even if you're not going to get it for Switch, I highly like if you see that game for like $250 on Xbox or something like that, just get it. I mean, it's. The single player, to me, I think is even fantastic. So.
That's cool. All right. I think that should be good. So, 2 Point Hospital, which I totally recommend. And then, what is the full official name for the Pac-Man one? It's got a long one.
Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus.
Pac-Man, nice. On the Switch. Cool.
Yeah.
I think those are good 2 recommendations this week. All right, we're going to take a real quick break. We'll come back and we'll talk about the games that we're playing. All right, we're back. We are going to chat about the games that Phil and I are playing on our own when we get some free time, which my free time has been pretty much nil past couple of weeks. But I'm excited about talking about the game that I'm going to be talking about this week. Right. I'll go first again, I guess.
All right.
I have been kind of excited about the Darksiders 3 coming out. I saw some trailers coming out for it. I always liked the art style of the Darksiders games. And I always thought that they were wildly underappreciated. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to try Darksiders 2 again because it's been a while.
Did you complete it years ago? Okay.
Oh, I did. Years ago, I did. I actually reviewed the game, and if I remember correctly, I gave it a pretty glowing review. Okay. Because the game itself, you don't need to play Darksiders 1 to enjoy Darksiders 2. The game itself is very much a Legend of Zelda type game where it's got dungeons, and the dungeons are primarily focused on, puzzle solving within the dungeons with some light to heavy battles in between. But it also has an inventory system. So in that regard, it has a very Diablo sort of feel, that with the fact that you're beating up skeletons and you yourself are kind of a skeleton, and you have a skill tree. It has a Diablo-ish feel in that regard too. But I didn't finish it this time, and before I go into bashing it, I want to say that when I started replaying it this time, I forgot how much I loved that soundtrack. The soundtrack was by Jesper Kyd, who...
Oh man, he's been doing soundtracks forever.
I know, right? He did the soundtracks for Assassin's Creed 1 through I think Brotherhood. So all of the good early tracks off of Assassin's Creed he was in. He was involved in Splinter Cell Chaos Theory's soundtrack. And then, if I remember correctly, he did one of the, I think a Batman game on SNES or NES or something.
That's what I was going to bring that up. Adventures of Batman and Robin for Genesis Mega Drive.
That's what it was.
That soundtrack is wild.
And he does great music. And when I was listening to it, I was like, man, this is so good. I literally went into the game's options and turned down everything else in the game, and I jacked up the volume on the soundtrack because I felt like it was not being played loud enough. And apparently he did the soundtrack for a game that came out recently called Battle Chasers Night War, which I kind of want to try, but that's a whole different thing. And the voice of Death, who you play as, is voiced by Michael Wincott.
You're Death in that?
Yes, you're Death.
Is that a spoiler?
No, you are Death.
I played it briefly and I don't remember being Death.
The first one in Darksiders 1 you're War, in Darksiders 2 you are Death, in Darksiders 3 you're going to be Strife. Or no. 3 I think you're Fury, and 4 I think you're Strife. I think. Okay. I could be wrong. And the voice is Michael Wincott, and he has this super gravelly voice. He was in The Crow, and did you watch Westworld by any chance?
No.
He was in Westworld as well. People who have watched Westworld will recognize his voice as the kind of the malfunctioning android who Ten's bar in the place. He constantly talks about, he's like, well, here's to the lady in the white shoes, and he just has this super memorable voice. And the voice acting in the game is fantastic. The music is fantastic, and you can do wall running and stuff inside it. So kind of like Prince of Persia. And I was like, wow, this is a great mechanic to work in with these Legend of Zelda style puzzles. And I just got bored and halfway through the game and just stopped. I really wish I didn't, but like, what stopped me was there wasn't enough combat. There was more combat in my mind.
Okay.
And the other thing that kind of turned me off was all of the dungeons. Although the dungeons had these really great puzzles, all the dungeons inside looked exactly the same. You know?
So do those games have, are they like Zelda where they even just have kind of like this overworld and, you know, you're just exploring this overworld, the dungeons are kind of littered around it? Like, how does that game work? It is? Okay, I wasn't sure if it was more like stage-like, you know, more like you're going stage to stage or what.
It's a little bit of both. Like, you wouldn't be able to do some of the later dungeons without doing the early dungeons first, you know, but you could always, once you're done with the dungeon, go ride back and you know, check out one of the older dungeons, because there might be a new skill that you got that you'll be able to reach an item that you couldn't quite reach before.
All right, so you can, okay, cool. So you can go back to old spots and all that stuff.
Yeah, and like I said, it's got a lot of really great stuff going for it, but, you know, in the end I was like, yeah, all right, I think I had my fill. I remember enough. The sad part is, I bought the game when it was just Darksiders 2. Now there is the only game that you can buy is Darksiders 2, the definitive edition.
Okay.
And that's
definitive,
yeah.
Like a pun? Okay.
Yes. And unfortunately, that's $30, and I think $30 is too expensive for the game.
Okay.
Again, it does. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I noticed that that's a thing lately, to kind of keep the value of a game up. Where they're releasing, like, a great example that's doing it lately is Shovel Knight, where the price of that game is actually like increased, and rightfully so, because it has so much. They've added so much content to it, free quote unquote content to it, free for like. It's crazy. If you don't mind, I'm going to go off a slight tangent here.
Go for it.
So I bought Shovel Knight on Wii U when it came out. This is years ago now. I don't know how old Shovel Knight now? Probably like 2013 or something.
Yeah.
I bought that game for whatever it costs, and whenever they release a new pack, I get that for free on Wii U, which is crazy.
That is awesome. Do you mean Switch or Wii U?
Wii U.
Wow.
So they even have an update coming out, I think in September this month or next month. Like another single player campaign, and on Wii U you're gonna get that for free. Now if you're on like Switch, you're gonna have to pay for that. Although I think if you bought Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, they call it, so it's kind of the same idea, where you know it's like this pack that includes everything. Where the price is kind of increased, but you get all this extra stuff with it. Or the way Shovel Knight works now is you can buy those campaigns separate, or you can buy Treasure Trove, which has everything. But anyway, sorry, just kind of going off topic there. It's just more the idea of repackaging a game with more content and keeping that price raised, because especially like on Steam, where these games kind of just live on forever now. They're just always there. They can't just, you know, Darksiders 2 drops to $5 and then what? You know, like
then you're done, right? You might as well just give the game. You might as well just make it free.
Right, exactly. And it's like, so you might wait for it to drop to $250 on the holiday Steam sale, you know. So instead, they kind of increase that value. So I think it's smart. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so. I agree. But the only downside to that is, I guess, the definitive edition. I guess like they kind of gunked up some of the visuals on the new edition. Now, if you were going from like PS3 to PS4, then hey, you know, you're probably going to be getting a better experience. But if you're just going from PC to PC, where you were already getting 60 frames a second, or where you were already getting whatever resolution you kind of wanted to go for, then you know you're kind of losing out a little bit. But
that's crazy that they messed up the graphics. All right.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird thing. Like, part of me was like, hey, I wonder what the big difference is. And so I did a bunch of comparison videos. I looked at a bunch of comparison videos, and there were times in the game when I thought, oh, I could probably, just based on the visuals, I could probably date when this game came out, because it was so, there's some sections that are so muddy and so brown and so gray that it's practically monotone, you know?
Okay.
And, you know, that was like a big thing during like the Gears of War,
yeah.
you know, times.
Yeah, the brown games.
Yes, all of those brown games that came out. And and I was like, oh, boy, I wonder if my thought was, if the definitive edition was way more vibrant than this, then I'd go for it, maybe. And I looked at it, and they kind of, the updated visuals, the colors kind of got even more muted, and I was like, nah. At that point, you might as well go ultra stylized with black and white.
Yeah. Just zap the color. Did you ever play that game Mad World on Wii?
No,
black and white.
I've seen it though, but never played it.
It was okay. It just reminded me of just an all black and white game. It was an okay game. But...
Yeah. But I'm still excited. I'm still excited for the next Darksiders game. Having said that, I think that based on the visuals that I've seen, it does look like they have kind of amped up the color for the next game, and some of the fights that they showed so far look really cool. And I think if they keep up the quality of the dungeon puzzles themselves, that'd be great. I'm just hopeful that in the game that's coming out, that they vary the dungeons so that you know exactly which one you're in. Because if you're playing a Zelda game and you're in a dungeon, you know exactly which one you're in.
Yeah.
You know? Water temple, fire temple, that kind of stuff.
Right. Does the third one, first off, when's that come out? Like this year?
I don't know. It was one of those things. It was like the flavor of the day of people like spreading around that trailer, and I saw it and I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. I wonder, I should check that out again. That was a fun game. You know, just to kind of scratch that itch, and I did. I scratched the itch. I don't know when the next one's coming out.
Have you watched anything? Like, does it have? I'm curious if it still has that like God of War style combat, which I feel like people are looking at as like an outdated way of doing combat. I disagree with that, but does it still have that same kind of classic God of War style combat?
I don't know. I'm not sure. The second one does. Like Darksiders 2 definitely does. And I'm with you. I don't agree that it's outdated. It's a different type of combat, you know, and definitely good. Like, there were some fights in that game that I was like, you know, shaking my thumbs afterwards, because you had a good number of people coming at you, and you had to constantly be dodging and you know, and such. But
cool.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the new one. I don't think it was based off of it. I like combat like the Batman Arkham series. I think that's fun, but it doesn't fit for everything, and I'm worried that a lot of you know, games have been picking up that mentality. Yeah. Anyway, so that's Darksiders 2. Again, it was a good game to kind of go back to. I think $30 is a little bit steep, but you know, that's that.
Wait for the sale. Wait for the
yeah. Wait for the sale.
Wait for the drop.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
What about you? What have you been playing by yourself?
So I've been playing The Messenger,
which looks sick.
It's pretty cool. So that was released on the 30th for Switch and PC. I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to hit everything eventually, but for right now, it's console exclusive to Switch right now. Okay. But I'm sure it won't be for long. But yeah, it was made by Sabotage Studio and published by Devolver Digital. I believe this is probably Sabotage Studio's first game. I'm gonna look real quick. I'm gonna cheat. Yeah, I think this is all I got. Games.
And just for people who don't know, this is a game heavily inspired by Ninja Gaiden, which is kind of awesome because it's coming right off of your Ninja Gaiden kick from last time.
I know, yeah, it's all fitting together.
Yeah,
so it was I was like, I had to play this game. I almost didn't buy it because we're super deep into Okami. And I know, like, so when we started playing Okami, the first episode of this show, I mentioned I was playing Iconoclast, and I really liked that game, but I kind of dropped it. I haven't gone back to it because I've been, you know, you just get kind of distracted and you move on to the next game. And it's not like there was anything wrong with the game. It's just, We did Okami, and it's like all my time has been kind of focused on that, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to hold off on the messenger until we finished that, until like I knew I was clear. But when it hit, I couldn't help it. Had to get it.
How much was it?
$20.
That's not bad.
No. So yeah. So it's very.
It's a side scroller.
Yeah, it's a side scrolling game. You're a ninja. So it's 8-bit, but the twist, and I guess I don't want to say it's a spoiler, because they show it in the very first trailer, like the reveal trailer for the game.
Right.
But you have to wait 5 hours for it to happen. You go off into 16-bit. So it's a 16-bit and an 8-bit game at the same time.
Wait, you got to wait 5 hours? Like you had to play 5 hours of the game before it started doing the 8-bit and 16-bit switches?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's also marketed as a Metroidvania. Do you also have to wait 5 hours to get to the Metroidvania part?
You might have to wait more than that, because I haven't hit that yet.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
This is so bizarre.
It is weird. So I've heard that too. I've heard it becomes a Metroidvania. So right now, the way the game's working for me, I'm about 6 hours into it, maybe a little more. So I've done the first full stage as 16-bit mode. So
you mean 8-bit mode?
No,
no. You mean you've gotten to the first full 16-bit stage? I've gotten to the first full.
Gotcha. Yeah. And I know, based on trailers, I know that eventually it switches back and forth between 16 and 8 on the fly. But right now, it just has me focused on 16-bit. My guess is, I guess it becomes a Metroidvania once it starts flipping back and forth between them. But at the same time, like the levels I've ran through so far, so there's got to be some other kind of twist coming up. Because the levels I ran through so far are very, like, they're linear. There's a few spots where you can kind of go off the path.
Yeah.
And maybe there's like a secret there. But there's never a moment. There's only been a handful of moments where there is something that I think I can't do yet. And then the other thing I noticed is that you can go back on every stage. So, like, say you fall down like a long pit or something. There's always a way to get back up, but there's no reason to go back up yet. So my first thought was, because the whole point of the game at this point for me is you got to get to the top of this tower.
Yeah.
So my first thought was, okay, maybe when you get to the top of the tower, you kind of work your way. It's like a reverse Ghosts and Goblins where you work your way back.
Okay.
And I thought maybe that was kind of how it would open up, but that hasn't happened. So I feel like there's another twist coming. So I'm sorry if I'm like ruining this for anybody, but it's kind of like tough to talk about.
No, because I think this is good information, because like you said, I didn't get this information from you. I saw it from a video. I saw that it was like pretty actively switching between 8-bit and 16-bit. And that I swear I saw somewhere that it was labeled as Metroidvania style.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yeah, I saw that too, and it has not happened yet. So.
That is so wild. and here's the other thing. Like, you are very skilled at Ninja Gaiden and 2D scrolling type games. Like, you've done all of the Ghosts and Goblins and the Super Ghosts and Goblins and stuff like that. Like that, you chew that stuff up like crazy. Like somebody like me who has not played 2D side scrollers in a really long time, it'd probably take me way longer than how long it took you to get as far as you have.
Yeah, that's another. This is almost kind of a complaint now, and I don't know. So I loved those first few stages. I absolutely loved. So I told you how you kind of work your way to this tower. So in the tower, and I'm not going to ruin anything, but the difficulty almost kind of switches to like a Super Meat Boy style like difficulty where it's like these single screen challenges, and you're just dying over and over again. It has to be like pixel perfect jumps. I'm not really into that sort of like platformer. That's not really my thing. I like being able to like kind of improvise, being able to make mistakes. I don't like when you have to do it perfect. So it took me a long time to get through that tower. That was like frustrating, and I could see people that aren't great at games stopping at that point. And they don't even see the 16-bit part ever. Yeah. So I don't know if that's a mistake or not. Not a mistake. Like, it's not a mistake, but I mean like a difficulty spike. I don't know if that was a good move or not.
Right.
But people love it. I mean, it's reviewing great. So I don't know. So I'm not sure on that. And now the first 16-bit stage I've done, it's pretty difficult. I mean, there's a little room for error. It's not as brutal as that tower. So I'm kind of back in there. The other cool thing about this 16-bit is the music sounds like something off like Sega Genesis. It's all like FM synth, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's very Ninja Gaiden-ish. The basics of the game is you're kind of just unlocking your abilities. Like you can't cling on the walls at first, so you have to you unlock like a wall cling. You don't have a double jump, but you have a hover, like a glide. So if you hit jump again, he glides. So there's stuff like that. There is like a skill tree, so you collect money, and you can spend that money in a shop to upgrade abilities, like more health, that kind of thing. Your punishment for dying is this little demon will pop out, and he'll just kind of gobble up money for a little while, and then he goes away. So that's your.
That's awesome.
And, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a pretty good. And they make a joke about it. They're like, yeah, people said that the life thing is like an outdated idea, so I'm gonna just come eat the money. So and that's the other thing too. It's like pretty funny. Like the shopkeeper is great. He's pretty hilarious. You have this option to just kind of chat with him, and I suggest doing the chats because they're pretty funny.
Nice.
Yeah. So I definitely loved the first 4 hours.
Okay.
But now I'm like, I still really like the game. I'm definitely still going to play more of it. But I'm not as pumped because of the way the difficulty kind of spiked on me.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
It sounds like the road is getting a little bumpy right now.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how that Metroid stuff kind of plays out.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that there's going to be like when it opens up that you're going to be like, I'm hoping for your sake that it's going to be a big oh my gosh moment, and then yeah. Jeez, this is 2 cliffhangers in a row you're leaving us
on, man. It's hard. Well, it's hard when you like. I wasn't even sure if I was going to have enough to even talk about when we were before recording, because I had a pretty busy weekend. I had a lot of freelance to do and all that. And I mean, it just came out. I mean, I just started playing it Friday night. Today is Tuesday. I don't know when this will go live.
Yeah.
So I managed to squeeze some time in there.
That's awesome. Well, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got the time. I was the same way. I got swamped and I felt no shame about stopping Darksiders 2. It was like I don't have time for this. Mm-hmm. And I'm not enjoying it, so out you go.
That happened to me with Shenmue recently.
Oh my goodness. Shenmue.
Because the HD versions were coming out, and I was just like, I kind of want to play those. And I go, you know what? I just pull out the Dreamcast. I have it. I put a couple hours onto it, and I was just like, I've already done this before. A very similar, I guess, feeling to what you had with Darksiders. And I'm like, yeah, no thanks.
Well, again, not to like argue like justifying your purchase or anything like that. $20. That's how much I paid for Wrath of the Black Manta back in the day, and so it sounds like you're enjoying that more than I ever did.
Oh, jeez, you got that for $20?
Yeah.
Oh man, I remember spending full price for that game.
KB had it on sale, man, and I only had $20, and I really wanted to buy one of the Ninja Gaiden games, and I was like,
yep.
I was like, that one's got a ninja on the box. It's got to be the same.
So, that was my exact feeling, and we've talked about Wrath of the Black Manta before, and I love that we both owned that game when we were kids. I like that we both fell for it for the same reason, which makes me think like how many other people fell for that game for the same reason, and how many people were just completely disappointed by that thing. I just told a story about Wrath of the Black Manta to a friend at work, so if you don't mind, I will retell it.
Go for it.
I don't know if I ever told it on one of the old podcasts with you before, but it's whatever.
Who cares?
So it's the first game I ever bought. This is how I remember this, because it's the first video game I ever went to like buy with my own money. Like I had money, and I'm like, I'm getting this game. I knew I wanted that. Like I went for that game. So I go and I buy the game, come home with it, basically instantly disappointed, right? It's because it's not Ninja Gaiden.
Right, yeah, it's not. It's not even close.
Yeah. And I remember my mom walks by my bedroom, and she goes, how's the game? How's your new game? And I remember just lying. I remember saying, it's great. But in my mind, it's being like, this is awful. This is and I just remember like thinking about that lie and just kind of being like, man, I just lied to her about like my feelings on this game. And she didn't buy it. It was my own money. Like
right.
Yeah, but I just remember lying. Like that just really stands out to me as this memory. I don't.
Yeah, hard lesson learned right there.
But you know what? Played the crap out of it. Definitely beat it.
That was the same thing with us, man. It was because back then that was it. There was no other game for a long time after you got that game, and so we beat it. And that final boss is just ridiculous because you had to know the exact order of the exact spells you had to use against the final boss. There was no way to learn
Which
that.
I think that was a Nintendo Power giveaway, right? That
was
a tip
it?
in there? Maybe. How did you find it out?
Trial and error, man.
Really?
Yeah, trial and error, and a lot of spiked Nintendo controllers, and yeah,
it's brutal.
Yeah,
I can picture that final boss like perfect. He's like holding like a little girl hostage. Right?
Yeah, and he's just
kind
like
of sliding back and forth.
Yes, that's exactly right.
I can picture it perfectly. Oh my god, that game.
Well, before we like shock ourselves into like PTSD or anything like that, let's shift into our off topic. Because we probably don't need to take a break. Let's shift into our off topic where we're going to talk about just the things that we wanted to talk about with a fellow adult geek.
Okay.
I'll go first again. I've been going through the Witcher books recently. I had this plan that I was going to do all of the Witcher books because I haven't read them all yet. And I was going to go from start to end. And then from there, I was going to go into the video games and do them from start to end. I thought, hey, this is going to be this amazing, geeky journey. And I goofed up already. I read the wrong book first.
You read the whole thing?
I read the whole thing. It was good. I read Blood of Elves, which is not the first one. So then I had to go back and read The Last Witch, which I had read. I had read that one a long time ago. I bought that book after I played the original Witcher game, and I think at the time it was the only Witcher novel that was translated into English at the time. And there were fan translations of the rest of the author's work. His name is Andrzej Sapkowski. I know I have a crazy last name, but I still goofed up his. But so now all of his books are translated over in English, and you can buy them and read them with more, I don't know, publisher approved translations. And I screwed it up, and so I started over again, basically. And that's it. That's all I got.
And those existed before the games. The games are based on these books, right?
They did, and the way it worked out was the guy wrote this book series in Polish, obviously because he's Polish, and so is CD Projekt Red. Yeah. And when they bought the rights to the game, they did not. I think the deal was that they could not or were not going to create Witcher games based in the timeline of the books. And it's not a spoiler, but the Witcher Geralt dies in the books. And so what they do is they sort of resurrect him and continue his story. And
they were allowed to do that? They were even allowed to like resurrect a...
Yeah, and you know what? The retconning that they did, the reasoning that they gave for the resurrection is actually super interesting. And it doesn't seem cheap or, patronizing at all. It fits within their universe. The guys who created those games clearly loved the books and started it off as a passion for those books. So yeah,
it's cool because those games I feel like definitely got that. Would you consider those like almost like fairy tales or not, or more like novel? Like what would you consider those?
They are.
Books?
What's funny is they sort of are fairy tales. Like the in the games themselves, they are and they aren't. But in the books themselves, so the one that I'm rereading right now, The Last Wish, there are versions or iterations or stories heavily inspired upon like Beauty and the Beast and Rapunzel and I can't remember some of the other ones that had kind of come up, but these fairy tale stories, he finds a way to weave them into these very adult and politically interesting stories.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, so I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And yeah, it's cool how the games have, I feel like, popularized those things to the point where, how do you feel about today's casting news? Do you know anything about this?
Saw that. Henry Cavill, or is that how you pronounce his name? Is it Cavill
or Cavill? I don't know. It might be Cavill.
The guy who played Superman. He was cast as the Witcher Geralt in the Netflix live action series, and apparently he is a huge fan of both the books and the games, which is totally fascinating. But I don't like him as an actor.
That seems to be the thing. I've seen all I've seen on Twitter, now this is only a few tweets that I've seen like kind of just pop up. But
Sure.
Yeah, no one really seems to care for this. I don't mind him. I think I only know him from, I guess, the DC cinematic universe.
Right.
I don't think he's been given the best material to work with, but I like him. I don't know.
We'll see.
I didn't realize people didn't like him so much. I guess is my point.
It's a massive we'll see. You know, it's like when people were hearing about Heath Ledger playing the Joker, everybody was like pulling their hair out, and it turned out he did a good job. So I don't want to cast judgment on it. Like I said, I haven't seen anything that he's been in that I've been like, wow, he did a great job in that. So yeah.
I hear I don't know if he's good, but I hear the new Mission Impossible is real good, and he's the bad. I think he's the bad guy. I don't know. I didn't see it.
Really? I have no interest in seeing Mission Impossible movies. I just don't. They don't appeal to me for some reason.
I'm very interested in watching a couple of them. If you don't mind my little side here.
Please do.
I remember being pumped as hell for Mission Impossible 2, like when that was coming out.
Yeah.
And I wanted to walk out of that movie.
Get out of here.
I wanted to. Everybody, we all, like me and all my buddies that saw, there was a ton of us. I remember we all couldn't wait to see this movie, and I don't think any of us liked it. And that kind of like ruined Mission Impossible for me. And then like 3 came out, and I remember hearing 3 was good, and then like they just kind of kept coming out, and they kept being good.
Yeah.
And I did watch 3, which was directed by J.J. Abrams, but I watched that like fairly recently. I think I watched that when like 4 or 5 came out.
Interesting.
Which isn't that recent, I guess, now. With the intention of watching the other ones, but I just watched 3, and I did like 3, so I am interested to watch more of them, and I hear they are very good.
I'll tell my real quick Mission Impossible story, and then I'll stop. There was a time when I was living in the DC area, and I used to run a fair amount, and the one year I ran the Army 10 miler. And it starts at the Pentagon, and it goes across the 14th Street Bridge into DC, and then it goes across basically it's a 10-mile route. It starts and ends at the Pentagon.
That's brutal, man. You did the 10-miler?
I did.
That's a story into itself.
Well, it goes beyond that. It was the time when it was being recorded, I think that morning, or it might have been the night before. I'm pretty sure it was that morning. The 14th Street Bridge was closed because Tom Cruise was supposed to be riding across the 14th Street Bridge into DC on his motorcycle, and they needed to shut off traffic to like get the shot, and then that was it. There was a bomb scare on the bridge, one of the bridges, I can't remember which one, and so our race route got redirected, and the 10-miler ended up being like a 14-miler instead.
Oh my God.
And I was like, this feels like way more than 10 miles. Why am I dying? And all the photographs of me, I look like a zombie and such because I'm like sweating my face off, and I'm just blown out. And what had turned out was when they shot the video, apparently somebody had left a prop or something on the bridge. This is what I was told. I don't know if this was true or not, but I was told that somebody had, because of the Mission Impossible shooting, that somebody had left something on the bridge, and they were scared that it was a bomb thing, and so they shut it down and they redirected the whole race. And so everybody ran a super long race.
What Mission Impossible were they shooting?
I can't even remember, man. I couldn't even. Whatever one was around like 2004 or 5 or something.
That was probably 3.
Okay, there you go. Mission Impossible 3 then.
Yeah, that would definitely be my guess.
That's funny.
That's pretty impressive, though, that you did 14 miles. I think the most I've ever run was 6.5 miles. I'm not a very good runner. I try.
I don't recommend it.
You don't recommend it?
No,
or you do?
No, I don't recommend it. Run the mile. You're fine. After that, you're just beating up your legs.
Yeah, I'll do like 2-mile runs. That's good. I feel good after 2 miles. I don't need to do more than 2 miles. I don't need to hurt myself. I feel nice.
Yeah, especially at our age, man. Doctor friend of mine, he's like, you have no idea how many people come in, for goofing up their back because they suddenly go from no runner to trying to be in a runner at 40. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
It's too much.
Yeah. All right. Well, what about you? I want to hear about the Famicom, man.
All right. So the Super Famicom, where I left off on the last Elder Geeks was I ordered this piece of crap Super Famicom. I went on eBay. I ordered the most broken, gross one I could find, and my goal here was to just see if I could fix it and see if I could learn something. So I think when I left off, my thought was that the fuse was what was busted on it. That seems to be like the common problem from what I found on the internet.
Yeah.
So I had fuses. I had fuse on the way in the mail. So it came. I think it actually came the day the show went live on like Friday or whatever.
Nice.
So that night I go home. Well, the SNES was already torn apart and popped open, so I didn't need to pop anything open. I desoldered the old fuse, soldered the new one on, and bingo, man. It's alive.
Get out of here.
Worked. Yeah. So I was pretty happy.
Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How much were the fuses? Like $4?
Yeah. Oh yeah. They were only like $1 something. I ordered 2 of them just in case I screwed up with one. And then the shipping was a couple bucks. So yeah, it was super cheap and just a little fuse. Now I have another one. So if my actual Super Nintendo, if that ever goes, I'll know to check the fuse and I'll have a spare. And yeah,
that is fantastic, man.
So I instantly went on eBay and started looking for stuff. I didn't buy anything yet though, but I was definitely going crazy.
You mean looking for carts?
Looking for games.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now that I got it working, I got to start playing. I have a couple of games, but I've already played them. I modded my. I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but I have a bunch of games because I modded my regular
SNES.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
It's really easy. There's just these 2 clips in there, and you just take a Dremel to it and just file them down. Actually, the way I did it the first time before I even had a Dremel was I just took some pliers and tore them out, and it looked terrible. Then I used my Dremel to now it looks nice. I used my Dremel to kind of sand it down. But you can just literally just tear them out with pliers.
How to mod your SNES with pliers.
Yep, you just tear it right out. They're not that strong. They come right off. But yeah, if you have a Dremel, you can just file it down and it works real nice. So that's what I've been using. But my Super Nintendo that I have that's my Super Nintendo. That's the one I grew up with.
Wow.
And it's not, it takes a little while to get it going. The cartridge slot's a little bad. It's just worn, from all the use. So
yeah.
So it's cool to now I have the Super Famicom, so I can kind of, if I play games and they fire right up. They work great. There's no fussing with trying to get the games to work.
That is so cool, man.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And you cleaned the whole thing, and did you slap it all back together again? Does it look good?
Oh yeah, it looks brand new, dude. It looks great. Yeah. The only thing, I think I mentioned this last time, I bought a cheap AC adapter, and I heard they're not good.
Yeah.
It does kind of suck. There's the picture kind of has like a fuzzy picture to it. It's not perfect, so I am gonna try and get a
legit one.
A legit one, so it looks nice.
Yeah, well, now you've figured out the problem. Now you can fire it up. Now it's worth a little bit more of an investment into it.
Yeah, it was a fun project. So now I'm feeling good. I'm like, what else can I fix?
What else can I solder?
Actually, I think I found my next solder victim. Because I don't know why. I think you saw me tweet this the other day. I was like, I want to play some Game Boy. Old Game Boy.
Yep.
And I took the Game Boy down from my shelf again, the Game Boy I grew up with, and I slapped in Donkey Kong 94. Did you ever play that game before?
Yeah.
Oh, so good. So
I actually gave that away to a cousin of mine when we were kids.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was a good game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so good. So I was like, I want to see what it's like to play. Like, what did I go through when I was playing old original green screen Game Boy? So.
Unless you're playing that in direct sunlight, man, you were going through a lot.
Dude, I don't know how we did it.
Because there was nothing else. There was nothing else.
Yeah.
That was it.
I was sitting under the light trying to play Donkey Kong. I'm like, this is unplayable.
That was a canteen in the desert at the time.
Yeah. Especially in a car ride. Like, how do you do that in a car ride where the light's constantly you're not getting constant sunlight. Maybe things are flickering because you're going through trees. Whatever shadows are going through the car. Oh my God.
I remember I had a little clip-on lamp that went on the top of my Game Boy that it shined down on there, so at least you were a little bit more stable light-wise. And I'll tell you what, man, that was the best time to play. That was with that light at nighttime in my room when the lights were out, because then light was absolutely regulated.
Yeah, that's true. Did I have a light? I think I had a light. think I had like you know what I think I had? It was like a magnifying glass which had a light. And I don't think I liked the magnifying glass itself. Remember where you could like kind of attach those like screens?
I know
to
exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was I don't remember if I really cared for that very much.
Well, I hope that you do restore a Game Boy or at least make a Pi Boy.
I was gonna say the Game Boy is good. It's the my Donkey Kong no longer saves files, so I think I might pop the battery out. I think that requires a little desoldering.
Yeah.
To pop a battery out and put a new one in, so I think that might be my next little soldering project.
Nice.
To fix the battery on Donkey Kong.
Dude, I could go off on Game Boys and go down memory lane like that for forever, but we should probably call it a night for there.
Yeah. Sorry, I can just keep going.
All right, man. Hopefully I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, dude.
All right, everybody have a good night.